that's what happened. I ended up going to Maxim UK after that, and did some things that ended up getting me in trouble. Fresh off the boat, which was, they have a big problem with immigration in the UK, and there are a lot, I mean, the data shows that in 20, 30 years, it's going to be all minorities, and there's going to be no Brits, which, when you see a Brit, it's not such a bad thing. But anyway, I live there, I'm going to book on it. But anyway, I started this thing called Fresh Off the Boat, where I sent my writers to strip clubs to interview these girls that just came from like Estonia. And their life is to strip just to make ends meet. And I said, we'll do a photo shoot with them. It's called Fresh Off the Boat. And with the moment that it came out, the Home Office, which is the British White House, called and said, you can't do this. This is a big, and I'm like, this is my first week on the job. And my boss said, you can't do anything about it, blah, blah, blah. And like, it was the best, it was such a great coup, but I couldn't do anything with it. The IKEA sex party, that was when, the idea was, you know, when you get instructions for IKEA, what if you inserted people, like diagrams of people in there having sex? So like while you're hammering the thing, she's there, he's there. And so we did this whole thing of how to put together shelving and beds with bodies. And IKEA. So IKEA, because you know Maxim is international, so they pick up they pick up the stories, and I don't know what it was, the Prague edition, I guess it was picked up by the IKEA president, and they just went completely crazy, and I almost lost my job on that. I think that was kind of the last straw. I'm trying to remember, and then there was something I did where I was giving free trips to dying people, but that didn't really get me in trouble. It just was like, you know, editors get a lot of free stuff. And so we thought we would put out ads in our magazine saying, are you dying? You can have this trip. And so we would get these kids with heart transplants and give them these great parties, but then it turned out that we could actually kill them. So we decided to stop that. I thought that was a wise decision. While I was at Maxim, this thing had been launched by Ariana Huffington called the Huffington Post, and I had no part of it whatsoever until my friend Matt Labash, who's a great editor and writer at the Weekly Standard, had called me and said, yeah, Ariana's doing this thing, and I can't do it. Bill, his boss wouldn't let him do it, and do you want to do it? I said, yeah, okay. And so, and I'm not sure what exactly it was, but it was launching like on a certain day, on a Tuesday, but I'm 5 hours ahead, so whatever I post was going to be the first post. And she had assembled, and Andrew Breitbart, I don't know if you know the name, was behind it, and his idea was to expose this liberal celebrity beehive for what it is. And he'd worked with Ariana before, and so they created this thing. I didn't realize how crazy it was, but I thought, you know what, I'm going to treat it like I'm like your aunt, your crazy aunt. So my first post was a lemon square recipe. So they have like anti-war screens, stuff about George Bush, and I'm writing like, you know, the best lemon squares come with just sprinkle a little bit of powdered sugar on the top, and all this other stuff. And then my next one would just be a psycho thing about how one of the bloggers had left a ball gag on my front lawn, and it doesn't pick it up, and all of a sudden, and they would just show up, and it completely derailed the Huffington Post. And what it did, though, was going back to the Dean Wormer effect, is that if you turn the tide against the so-called tolerant people, they become more intolerant than you can imagine. And these are people that believe all, you know, everything's good no matter what. There's no truth, there's no right or wrong, everything's relative. Until you disagree with them, then their intolerance is absolutely insane. And so I got like crazy, like I wouldn't say death threats, but threats of bodily harm. One of the writers had posted I was a pedophile. This was the beginning of Wikipedia, which I really didn't understand, but if you went, you could go to my Wikipedia page and there would be like this horrible shit. I mean, like, how does this happen? It's like, and that's when I realized the web was like a giant bathroom wall. You have to get up every morning and like scrub it. I mean, they're not even creative to draw big penises like you did in 8th grade. They're just writing that you're a pedophile. You have to get up. You have to, and it was just like, this is wrong. But anyway, over time, Huffington Post got rid of me. Not rid of me, but pushed me to the back of the, as they became more and more progressive and they didn't want me there, I decided not to post there. And then what happened was Red Eye, which I was living in London, I was finishing my book, and I met a guy at a bar. No, not that guy. The guy was crap. It was a guy who worked at Fox, and he had been told that that I was living out there, and he had read my stuff on the Huffington Post. And I launched this DailyGut blog, which was like kind of a surreal weirdo thing. And they wanted to meet me, and they had this idea for a show, and they didn't know really what it was, but it would be 3 hours long, live, in the middle of the night. And I was trying to go, this would be great in England, because 3 hours for me is actually later, so I could do it from 7 to 10 and get me bored, whatever. And so we started going around town. I had this buddy, I don't know if you watched the show, Kevin Godlington, who was an SS, not SS. He might have been. No, he's too young for that. A special SAS. So anyway, we went to different bars and had a film crew, and we didn't know what we were doing, and we just did it, and I got some people there, British guys, and it was awful. It was so bad. And then I went to Fox, met with these people, and they liked me, and they offered me a job. And it was interesting because I'll tell you, people talk about Fox as a conservative network, but they succeed purely by taking risks, and they don't waste any time. They decide they're going to do something, they do it. And I mean, the fact that they had any kind of faith in me is absolutely amazing. Given that I had no TV history aside from showing up here and there on VH1 to talk about Christina Aguilera's hair on her head. You never know what comes up on those VH1 specials. But anyway, so they gave me this shot, and I showed up that I don't know when it was, and they said I showed up. I guess it was in end of January of 2007. And they said, you're taping tomorrow, go up to graphics. And I'm like, I am like, again, crapping myself because this is nuts. And we started, it was called Wasteland. And I had no booker, so that meant I had to call my friends. And of course, the first person I thought of was this kid, Bill Schultz, who is a genius. A sprite from some satanic forest. I don't know how much of the show you watch, but I mean, the fact that he has a hole in his back, if that's not proof that he's the devil, I don't know what it is. But we started doing it was called Wasteland. It was awful. I didn't know how to use the mic, so when I was talking, I was like this, and then when the other person was talking, I was like this. So like entire hours of tape was just it was not used. But there was nobody there really to tell you what to do. And then finally we got a studio. We were doing this actually in what you would consider the coffee break room of a business. Then it was called the Tech Lounge, where so you'd be doing this show, and people would come in and microwave. And actually, when you think about it, that's a better idea for a show. And I was always saying, this is great because you can have a guy sweeping, but it was really bad because the thing that really pisses me off about microwaves in work is fish. It's absolute arrogance to microwave fish for lunch because you screw over everybody's lunch after that. Whenever you put food into a microwave, it comes out with fish. And that's like completely and absolutely wrong. It's like peeing on a toilet seat. That's offensive. So anyway, I figured out the thing that I wanted to do with Red Eye was I love the McLaughlin group. It was the first real roundtable show that was fun, and John McLaughlin had nicknames for everybody, and he talked really fast, and he was like, next issue, Beal Bailey Barnes, and I was like that. But then my favorite show was Pee-wee's Playhouse, and I wanted I like unicorns, I don't like unicorns. But I like the idea of a 42, 43-year-old man liking unicorns because that's like a telltale sign there's something wrong with it. That's why I got into the whole unicorn thing and houseboys. The idea of, okay, the person who's a host of a show has a personal private life that is unseemly and weird, and nobody really knows what to make of it. And when you watch the show, it creates this kind of weird, clubby feel. The first people who watch it are repulsed by it. They hate it. The amount of mail that I got was unbelievable. It was mind crushing. It was horrible. It was like, get off the air. You have a weird speech impediment. What's with the crease in your nose? You're a midget. How do midgets get on TV? It was that brutal. But at Fox, it's like, you just show up every day. This happens to everybody.